then, like you said, not just emailing over a lease and saying, sign this, get it back to me. You need to take a little bit more time, whether it's through personally, or you could do this on the phone, depending on, how you're scaling and how many properties you have, but take that extra 5 to 10 minutes to get to know them. What advice can you give us in relating into preventing evictions, and then when necessary, any tips or tricks to make the process easier?
Well, I've been pretty blessed. I haven't had a real serious to the courtroom in front of the judge eviction in years, and I mean probably about maybe 10 years, so I'm very blessed. I did have an eviction about 5 years ago that I had to deal with, but reasons for eviction is a lease violation in their contract. I sit down with people when they rent from me. I set them down. We go through their contract, I explain it, and I explain my expectations. If they, I'm very easy to get along with, very easy. Pay your rent, take care of my property, I'll leave you alone. But if people get in a bind financially, especially like during the COVID right now, people get in a bind, have the decency to sit down, talk with them, and try to work something out. They don't want to move.
Right.
They don't want to start over. They don't have the money to start over. So if you can work out a plan, and that's what I do, I work out a plan with them. If they can afford $100 a week, $200 a week, if I can do something and make that work for them, I want them to be a successful tenant, then we'll work something out that they can pay their rent. That's typically the reason why people are evicted, is for non-payment. I have a tenant right now whose wife passed away. He's behind a little bit in his rent. We've sat down, we've worked out a payment plan. True, my owner's not going to get all the money at one time, but a little money is better than no money. And if that unit's vacant, you're not making anything. So right. Even if you're only getting half the rent, it's better than getting no rent.
So doesn't it start, though, it sounds like it starts to prevent the eviction. It starts with not only the screening process, but then, like you said, not just emailing over a lease and saying, sign this, get it back to me. You need to take a little bit more time, whether it's through personally, or you could do this on the phone, depending on, how you're scaling and how many properties you have, but take that extra 5 to 10 minutes to get to know them and to explain what your expectations are, and if possible in person. But again, it starts with the screening process to begin with, right? Like,
right. And we do have a screening process in place. So when tenants apply to rent property from me, Equity does have a computer program you do apply. It's a $35 fee for every adult over the age of 18. But again, back to your lease, some of the other reasons for eviction is number of tenants, people move family in or friends in. Let's sit down and talk about that. Why are they there and what can we do to get rid of them? Smoking is a big violation for me because I don't want people smoking in my apartment, because your nasty habit makes it hard on other people who are going to live there behind you, and it makes it hard for me. So I prefer no smoking, but if you do smoke, I have a place in my lease that if you are caught smoking in my unit, there is a fine there involved. But for the most part, it's back to the very beginning. Let's understand what you want and what I expect, and then let's work together on that. And that's what I do.
And I love hearing you talk, because you're saying my apartment, my lease.
Oh,
and no, I want it to be that way. Like, just like you're taking ownership of, because you said this, you said, you work for me, but really you work for the people living there. You work for the building, you work for yourself because you love it. And then, anytime you can find somebody that you can partner with, or that, when you take ownership of it and you said, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I'm doing. And that's why I love when you're saying my apartment, I'm like, because sometimes I'll joke with my ownership group. I'm like, I don't know, we're just going to ask Sandy, like, it's her apartment. You know what I mean? Like, we just somehow managed to get a loan on it and finance it. Right.
Right.